This is a Ephraim Washington documentary. Ephraim Washington story. People never wanted Ephraim Washington to have anything. Instead of helping him financially, people just talked bad about him. Ephraim was raised in Santee, South Carolina. He left home for the first time around 17 years old. At 18 years old, Ephraim had an argument with his dad which led to a fight. He broke his father's finger and his dad pressed charges. Ephraim Washington had a restraining order and couldn't return back home. Ephraim became homeless. Ephraim was constantly in and out institutions and group homes. Seems like everywhere he went people picked at him instead of helping him. Ephraim needed financial help. He was diagnosed with bipolar at only 14 years old. No one could understand what was wrong with Ephraim. Ephraim was a masturbator, addicted to porn since 13 years old. He masturbated so much he began to look at people differently. He didn't even want to look in the mirror because he felt he was ugly. His mom told him he was handsome, but he just didn't like himself. He began to burn himself by putting his hands on the hot stove and burning himself with lighters. Ephraim was diagnosed bipolar when they changed his diagnosis to schizophrenia. He was back and forth in hospitals for suicidal thoughts and actions for years. Seems like no medicine was working. Ephraim had an anger problem. Seems like he felt people talked bad about him more than helped him. Ephraim was raised by Jehovah's Witness parents, but he didn't get baptized. So Ephraim and his parents couldn't get along. Ephraim felt like a black sheep of his family. No one seemed to understand Ephraim. So Ephraim wanted to do music so people could better understand him. It wasn't for the money, he just wanted to share his story. Ephraim received so much criticism he would post online frequently to explain himself. He reached so many views because of family and friends not wanting him to share how he really felt. He eventually got discouraged and deleted so much of his content. In the middle of Ephraim Washington's life, he had gotten married by a young lady that found interest in him for some reason. His mom felt Ephraim should go by the Bible standard in getting married instead of just having sex. Ephraim was unstable mentally, but because Ephraim and the young lady had a strong bond, he decided to get married to her. Ephraim's mom paid for everything. Ephraim was struggling financially. People hate to see him with his wife because people highly glorify money. People don't want to see a man with less money enjoy having a wife. Ephraim Washington says in his own words, "Money is highly glorified by people, but how can money help people that can't even walk, are born blind, born with disabilities? How can money help the children that's born without arms to work? We need God to save us, not just man-made items." Ephraim Washington said he was going to write a book, and he did. History of my life. I never asked to suffer. Available online.